This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 22nd of July 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am DM. In case you missed it, this is the winning headlines, and these are the day's headlines. How fake IDPs stole millions from state. The Star. Senate in plot to ruin Uhuru legacy, MPs. And finally, The Standard, referendum push to test party loyalty. However, these headlines have actually been overtaken by events following the arrest of the Cabinet Secretary for Finance, Henry ROTICH, and 27 others over the dam scandal.
So we toss
them. Here at the Fifth Estate TV and the Fort Hall School of Government, we support the president's fight against corruption. However, we have reservations regarding the methods used in this fight. The intentions are spot on, but the approach is pedestrian at best. It is untaught in the craft of government, and here is why. 1. Arresting a finance minister, 2 PSs, and other top government officers was necessary. But the razzmatazz and the walhalla around it is unschooled. It lacks in thought and tact.
Oh yeah, I agree. For instance, it is not lost on the public that 90% of those arrested are from one region. And saying that Mwizi ni Mwizi will not change the perception that this region is targeted. This is a lack of thought in our view. If there was someone in the Uhuru administration taught in the craft of government, they would have advised that the 25 be arrested in small installments, maybe in batches of 5 per day. This would have shifted the perception that one region is targeted. 2. We congratulate DCI Kinoti for investigating with his mouth closed. He used to investigate with his mouth open, giving away important leads. Although there is some improvement, Kinoti told us some things about the dam scandal that remain unresolved.
Yes, and one of those things is he told us that 4 billion was withdrawn from a Westlands bank. Then it was taken to a house in the leafy suburbs. And the question in the mind of the public is this. Every bank has an account name, and the Westlands account has a name. The public would like to know this name, and the owner of this name should be arrested. 2. The house on the leafy suburb is built on land, and every land has an LR number. This number has a name. Again, the public would like to know this name. If Kinoti cannot resolve such puzzles which he has created in the mind of the public, we will dismiss him as untaught. We must remind Kinoti that the public is unforgiving, especially to people that they call their heroes. And if Kinoti and Haji are our heroes, we want them to stop the dramas. Their operation must be as cold as a lizard.
So guys, do you guys think CS ROTICH is the fall guy for William Ruto?
I don't think he's so much a fall guy, but this whole thing, the way it's playing out, it's to create a background of acceptance.
Right.
We'll see the arrest of cabinet secretaries, but then we'll then see an escalation to the arrest of the deputy president.
Oh, wow. Okay, but what exactly does the Constitution say about the removal of the deputy president from his seat?
And even before the removal of the deputy president, first of all, we must say that the Constitution does not protect the deputy president from legal
arrest,
proceedings. It is very express that only the president a case cannot be instituted against the president
while he's
in a
in
court of
office.
law, but the deputy president is not protected.
Yes.
But then now further down to, I think, Article 150, because that was one Article
150 refers to the removal
about legal proceedings, the removal of the deputy president. I think this first or the second one states that he can be removed if there is reason for criminal.
If there's proof of criminal.
Exactly.
Criminal activity that is either national or international.
No.
So that begs the question, could that be a revival of a of a Hague proceeding? Could that be a local one? I mean, there's many ways that this could
will begin
end up
locally.
Yeah.
The question is this, Tuem and Tuje. The government is a cash cow.
Yeah.
Are only Ruto and friends the ones with pails to milk this cow?
In fact, let me answer you by asking this question. Do these people think that William Ruto, if at all he's a target man, that he will sit back and see government coming at him and he has no dirt on people close to the president?
Yeah, I mean,
and that is actually housed in the Treasury.
It is.
Absolutely.
And because
Ministry.
we know that the DPP and the DCI were shouting at ROTICH, we're coming for you, as they're, running to him very slowly. So all that time, he had a lot of time to pick up quite a bit of dirt.
Absolutely,
So
he could see that this was coming his way.
And I'm sure if William Ruto is steps ahead of people, I mean, in my view, he sees steps coming and he takes action to prevent himself.
And so the final angle that I'd want us to just look at very quickly is what is the likelihood that these arrests are going to even end in any kind of conviction? Because if we take NYS 2,
based on history, law, but if the intention does not necessarily is not generated at the office of the DPP and it has a higher owner, then they may be seen to their conclusion, because if there's a political end to it, and if the arrests are indeed going to escalate, then they would want to see it to
I completely disagree, because if NYS 2 is anything to go by, how many people were arrested?
About 40.
And before they even get to court, 20 are removed.
In fact,
20 are removed because of lack of evidence.
But this is exactly what I'm saying, that this is a different situation, that we can't really rely on history. We have not had a cabinet secretary arrested before, and here we are.
Mathematical trends.
Exactly.
Haji takes 40 people to the High Court. He probably was asking for an SGR to take them because of similarly.
Then there was a linear progression from an SGR to a matatu to now there's one in a boda boda.
Yeah, and then he says no insufficient evidence, I'm withdrawing half of the cases.
Exactly.
So
and
this time,
precisely because the evidence that they brought was insufficient.
It was insufficient.
And you call this in law the fruit of the poisonous tree. So if you poison the tree, the fruit that you're going to get at the end will be poisoned.
Yeah, so if you're taking 28 people this time, you're very much likely to withdraw 14, going by trends.
I mean, this is an intriguing saga, and we can only wait and see and continue analyzing. And now we'll move on to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. And just like the headlines, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break them down. For you, we ask ourselves, is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is it satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is the cartoon effective or is it lazy?
Lazy. I think just instantly we're going to toss the Daily Nation.
Yes.
We can direct our audience to Twitter or so,
their website.
Yeah, I think Gado is also on holiday. But this one you can mention. Caricature of Uhuru Kenyatta. He has red things on his eyes, lips, cheekbones.
I think he's blushing in excitement.
Yes, and next to him is Raila Odinga, and they are Skyping of Vladimir Putin, strongman of Russia, right? And he says of Putin on Skype, he says, you can learn from Russia. Mr. Odinga becomes president and you, Uhuru, becomes prime minister, de facto, sir.
Yeah. And that's in reference to the methods that Putin has used to stay in power for all this time. He becomes the DP, or rather the vice president, the president, and back and forth.
I don't know how topical this is. Sometimes I think Gado has a cupboard full of cartoons and he removes them when he has an off day.
It's repeated, right? Ozone, caricature of third way, what is called third way what?
Force, movement,
Mambo, what? I think third way highway.
The push for a referendum gets rolling.
Yes, so court is pushing his Punguza Mzigo, a very fat pig.
Inflated, yes.
It's inflated, can barely stand. And the push for but I mean, give it to him, it's getting so much traction on the ground.
It is, most definitely, but I still think we toss.
I don't think it's a good cartoon.
The cartoons are not inspiring, so we'll move on to our next segment. What is the final thought?
And now our final thought, inspired by a book entitled Weapons of Mass Destruction by Kathy O'Neill. I hope I said it right.
Yes.
It's a very simple name, it is.
Not O'Neill.
Okay. So I'll say that again clearly because it's a play on weapons of mass destruction. But the book is entitled Weapons of Math Destruction. Yes, written by Kathy O'Neill in 2016, I believe. So O'Neill is a mathematician. and she received her PhD from Harvard University in mathematics, and then later went to teach at MIT and Barnard College. She later moved into the private sector, where she worked in finance and trading, but she left when she became unhappy with the practices used. She saw the atrocities that went on behind the scenes in the finance industry. And it is with that knowledge that she decided to write this book. So big data really caught on, I'd say, in 2015, 2016. And it is most praised in its potential to use data to improve lives, right? So it's able to anticipate, we've talked about this, it anticipates your needs before you even know what that need is. But O'Neill presents a very important perspective that needs to be considered, and she takes the flip side. So where traditionally big data has been seen as this thing that is very helpful, it's going to take us into the new frontiers and how we make decisions, she says that we need to look at the drawbacks in what it's able to do. And that is why she calls these practices weapons of math destruction. So she defines them as mathematical models or algorithms. An algorithm, you remember, is a set of questions to solve a very well-defined problem. Also known as, it could also be a recipe. So when you learn how to cook ugali and you're told to do X, Y, Z, that is a recipe. You're trying to solve the problem of how to make ugali.
The definite method.
So these weapons of math destruction are mathematical models or algorithms that quantify or calculate important traits. So here she gives the examples of creditworthiness. Are you able to get a loan? How much will you pay for your insurance? Are you qualified to be a teacher, or should you keep being a teacher? Should you get this job? So she uses them to explain lots of things. But she says that they often reinforce inequality or enforce manipulation of the person on the other side, the receiving end of this algorithm. And she says that a big selling point in big data and algorithms is the assumption that they will be objective in decision making, that we can trust the algorithm to just do what we need it to do, and it will always be objective. But I don't think that's actually true.
It's not, and I think she demonstrates that very well in the book.
Absolutely.
As Tuje was saying, algorithms were created because they can do what human beings cannot do. We cannot analyze that scale of data or data. We cannot make decisions based on so many variables. So that is what they're created to do for us. However, they are created by human beings. So even as the creator is putting the algorithm together, they inject their biasness, they inject whatever arbitrary intentions that they have and put it in the algorithm. And so the algorithm is put out in the world, and as innocent bystanders who participate in it, Facebook and etc., we get stereotypes perpetuated.
Absolutely.
The book is very American. I mean, all the examples that she gives in the book are about the American police force and whatnot. And we were having a conversation earlier and thinking, how is it applicable here? And I was thinking, you know, we have a lot of cabinet secretaries who want to be the best performing. Soon, or top government officers, Mutiambai will be like, now we are going to apply algorithms in the police force to determine which are the crime hotspots in Kenya. And then what happens thereafter? We find that, let's say, for example, it's central Kenya that has been identified. Then they increase the police force to population ratio in central Kenya. Then it becomes a tribal thing. You know, those are the kind of biasness and stereotypes that are perpetuated by algorithms.
You know, I'm glad you say that, because there are three things she says that makes this, I can't say it, algorithms.
There you go.
Algorithms very dangerous, right? The first is they're very opaque. This is opaqueness. Second is skill, and third is impact. And then she gives the example of 2008 and the global financial crisis. And she says that the mortgages, subprime mortgages, were not WMDs, or not weapons of math destruction as such, right? They're just instruments for banks and insurance companies to make money. But what made GFC WMDs was the fact that some of these mortgages were being given to people who would not be able to afford them. Right now, you're playing with data data to people who are not credit worthy, but it is not for their benefit. It is for the benefit of corporations making capital.
And I think maybe just to clarify those three things that you said, the three things that she called the characteristics of a weapon of mass destruction. So she talks about it being opaque. And in reference to it being opaque, I will bring back a concept that we introduced a couple of months ago, the concept of a black box that is used in engineering, in engineering and economics and in data science. So a black box is a situation whereby you have the input that is put into a black box, something happens and you get the output. So what she talks about the opaqueness is what happens in the black box. It's the way we explained when a child tries to open a door. He put his hand on the handle and he knows that there's something happening in between the handle and the door.
There's a mechanism.
There's a mechanism inside, but he doesn't know what it is. So she refers to this opaqueness as being part of the weapons of mass destruction, precisely because the consumer doesn't know how the decision was arrived at. And she says that it should not happen that way. In data science and data analytics, the consumers need to be aware of what is creating the input to create the
but
output.
this opaqueness is really integrated into the use of data, isn't it?
Absolutely.
They don't want people to know. That is how it works.
Absolutely. But look at it this way. It's all about choice architects. And the example she gave about 2008, 2009 GFC, about people being given loans that they could not afford. In my view, you know that is what is happening in Kenya right now, and it's happening slowly. Now, if I was to give you an example, these groups, the mobile lending platforms, I will not name them. Do you people know that by the time they're giving you a loan, all right, you have to allow them some form of allowance and access for them to be able to see your messages. And
messages?
Yes, your messages, all right, to see if you have an existing loan.
With anyone else.
All right. And now the machine, the algorithm, it calculates how much you will be able to be, you will be given by that mobile platform, depending on number one, how you earn, whether
gender,
you have existing loans, location, and by the way, you'll probably be given more money based on a personal expense and a business expense.
And I think that
as much as it should work, though.
I think as much as what you said, DM, yes, this is a book that's based on American experiences. But I think we can learn a lot from it.
Absolutely.
And I think that we can use it as a warning. If you look at, in light of the Cambridge Analytica scandal, both in the US and in Kenya that we've just found out about, I think that we should read this book and learn from it. I think one of the conclusions that she makes in the book is that people need to be aware of what is going on, and we should not be afraid to question these algorithms. Math is very scary and it's very intimidating, but that should not be a reason for you to accept a loan from these people.
Or not to scrutinize it.
Exactly.
The central bank governor, the central bank governor, I think sometime last week, said be very careful because you do not know how these people reach their interest rate. If you're getting a loan of about 20,000 bob and you're paying 4,000 bob interest, they have not told you how you're going to do it. But if you go to a bank, the credit officer will tell you this is how you're going to draw your loan, this is how you're going to appraise it. But this mobile lending platform, it's a machine which is doing
deciding for
and
you.
they'll take advantage of you.
So a lot of this conversation is working towards a Netflix documentary that is coming out on Wednesday. It's called The Great Hack, and it explores a lot of what happened in this Cambridge Analytica situation, how Facebook was involved, how Russia was involved. It touches a little bit on Kenya as well. So I think as we work towards that, we want to encourage our audience to join and watch that with us.
Absolutely. I mean, this conversation is very intriguing. And I'm a big skeptic of algorithms, but then I'm also in the middle because they're important.
Do you have Huduma number?
I do. I do have Huduma number. Nope. I do have, but you will need to have one in December or relocate to Uganda. So the thing about algorithms, just to wrap up, I always say, as human beings, we can make the most sophisticated machines, and we will, that can even replace us, but we can never manufacture the human soul.
Yes, absolutely.
This has been the winning headlines. We had no winning headline, but we did have a breaking story that we spoke about, and we had no winning cartoons.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow.